Good evening. Welcome to Queer News Tonight. This is the world's first and only LGBTQ+ daily evening television news, broadcasting live and available on demand. Available on all smart televisions, including Roku, Apple TV, Android TV, Amazon Fire TV, YouTube, and Facebook. It's time to queer up the news. It's Thursday, October 6th, 2022. We are live and literally out of the closet and into the headlines. So many of your important stories we're going to tell this evening on Queer News Tonight.
This is the world's first live daily LGBTQ evening news show, literally out of the closet and into the headlines on Queer News Tonight with Al Ferguson.
I'm your anchor at Queer News Tonight, David Hopkins. This evening we bring you the news of and perspective representing the LGBTQ+ community from South Florida, America, and across our planet.
This is the world's first and only unedited live LGBTQ+ evening news show. Whatever happens unique in LGBTQ+ news, you will see it and hear it.
Happening Out Television Network is a 501c3 nonprofit media platform in the television and radio models of NPR and PBS, but designed for our LGBTQ+ communities.
We are part of one of the largest LGBTQ+ media companies in America, Hotspots Magazine and Happening Out Television Network.
Our magazine is celebrating 36 years of the LGBTQ+ experience, and our television news, talk, and entertainment shows support our mission to educate the LGBTQ+ and broader community.
Well, good evening, everybody. I have taken over from Al Ferguson this evening, so I'm going to push my own agenda to start with. The Leather Mask Ball is on this year. It was just confirmed. We will be having it November 25th at the Crystal Ballroom at the Manor. So keep tuned for more information on that. And let's welcome anchor Nik Nak London. Nik Nak is a music artist known for his popular song, Can't Take Me. He's the MC on Friday nights at the Escape Lounge nightclub, a legend in ballroom, and a cast member from the YouTube series The Come Up Miami. Welcome, Nik Nak.
Thank you. And now let's welcome anchor John Hayden. A journalist for 27 years, he now works for several outlets, including South Florida Gay News as a reporter and community editor, covering politics, entertainment, and local events directly impacting the LGBTQ+ community. John's interviewed everyone from presidents to Oscar winners and been on more red carpets than he can count. Tonight, he's not wearing blue as a subliminal way to tell you how to vote. He's doing it to represent his beloved Colts, who are going to beat the Broncos tonight. Welcome, John.
Thank you so much. Yeah, kickoff's in about 15 minutes, so we got to get through this. This is going to be a speed version of Queer News Tonight.
And Greg, they're talking about sports ball.
Sports ball.
Sports ball. Sports ball. So with that in mind, let's welcome anchor Bob Hentschel. Bob is an accountant with a local construction company and a member of various GLBTQ+ Disney Facebook groups, including the Gay Gathering at Epcot Food and Wine Festival. He describes himself as a nice widow man with a house in Dania Beach, Disney Vacation Club membership, and a self-supporting cash flow. Words that are music to the boys' ears at the boardwalk. Welcome, Bob.
Thank you, John. The 14th Gay Gathering is November 4th, 5th, and 6th at the Epcot International Food and Wine Festival. Wear your best purple, the color refined Merlot, and join us for Snappy Hour, 5:30 to 7:30 at the Rose and Crown Tavern in the UK Pavilion, Friday and Saturday. Let's welcome anchor Gregg Shapiro, an inductee into the Chicago LGBT Hall of Fame. Gregg is the author of 8 books, including his latest, Fear of Muses, an entertainment journalist whose celebrity interviews and music reviews run in a variety of regional LGBTQ+ and mainstream publications and websites. His movie review column called Screensaver can be found in South Florida Gay News, San Francisco's Bay Area Reporter, RottenTomatoes.com, and more. Good evening, Greg.
Well, good evening. We are the reporters for Queer News Tonight, and this evening we begin with the queer headlines. The LGBTQ+ community in South Florida and across America is diverse. Our community across the world is vast, and here are the bullet points of the queer news for today, Thursday, October 6th, 2022, National Noodle Day.
Ramen. First, we queer up South Florida and Florida. Senate candidate Val Demings to come to Wilton Manors' new Get Out the Vote Center on Saturday. Val Demings is an American politician serving as the U.S. representative from Florida's 10th Congressional District since 2017. Demings is a champion for marginalized people, especially LGBTQ plus people, people of color, and women. She condemns the Don't Say Gay bill targeting the LGBTQ people in Florida. She's denounced anti-trans violence, supports the Equality Act, and introduced the Science and Blood Donation Act to end discriminatory blood donation limits on men who have sex with men. She has graduated from Florida State University with a degree in criminology, and then a master's in public administration, later becoming a social worker, and then a police officer en route to becoming Orlando's first female chief of police. Demings has won a Democratic nomination to run for U.S. Senate in Florida, and happening out is a presenting sponsor of Florida's LGBTQ+ Democrat Caucus, which is one of the leading LGBTQ+ Democratic voices in Florida. The caucus is opening a new Get Out the Vote Center in the heart of LGBTQ+ Wilton Manors, funded by the LGBTQ+ Democrat Caucus, donors, and Florida Democrat candidates. On this important occasion, Senate candidate Val Demings is going to do an exclusive interview with Queer News Tonight's host, Al Ferguson. The event will be held on Saturday at 4 p.m. Queer News Tonight is the world's first and only live daily LGBTQ+ evening news show, and we are making sure we are part of the political process in this state because it's so important for everyone to be involved and be educated. And this center is going to be a great central location to get people's attention on the issues. It's right across the street from the Manor nightclub, right on Wilton Drive. You know, you can't miss it.
Yeah, 2 doors down from Hamburger Mary's, right across the street from Rosie's, or just down the block, Bona, our favorite. And I was there to visit the place. It may have opened today.
Soft opening.
Like yesterday, they didn't quite have all the insurance paperwork in place. But yeah, it's I wrote about this. It's one of my stories in this week's SFGN. South Florida Gay News, and that's online and on stands now. And I really encourage you to read it because their goals, well, yes, they're the Florida Democrats and they're the gay Democrats, but their goals are truly nonpartisan, and that's to get out messages. They're registering people to vote. You know, Trump could bring a busload of people down from Palm Beach County, and they would happily register them through October 11th, which is the last day to register. So they're really trying to do a good thing and be a part of it, and they're bringing it's a political party. They're bringing the politics to the party because it's in the heart of Wilton Manor. And a lot of people who don't see this are going to start, or normally pay attention, are going to see this because it is there. You can't miss it. They've got all sorts of signs in the windows.
Well, we talked about this last week about there was that Shervin Jones did the presentation at the Pride Center, and there were a dozen people, but yet Wilton Drive was crowded with people. The bars were crowded. So the fact, I'm just relieved there's finally something on the drive that will get people's attention. So it's a little late, I think, but I'm glad they finally did it.
Tuesday is the deadline for registering to vote or updating your address if you've moved. This is, the election's coming up in November.
Yeah.
Wicked Manors on Wilton Drive on Halloween easily gets
crowded.
30 to 50,000 people, and they're all going to see this location now. So it may be just the thing we need to push the election, you know.
And also, it's not just to get our people out there to vote. This is a place for any candidate in Florida to come and court the gay vote because it's almost as much of a backdrop as it is a political center. You know, we're that 2 or 3 part of that 2 or 3% that can help push this over the edge. So now, you know, Charlie Crist can, when he wants to do something or ask for our vote again, he has a place to come and talk because he can do it. Val Demings, you know, is going to open it at 4 o'clock on Saturday. You know, there could be former politicians. I don't know. Which one might be coming, but you never know, who might show up. So it's going to be, it's like a marquee venue for people to show up, and that's good.
To Gregg's point about Chef Jones when he was at the Pride Center, the Pride Center is off the drive.
Yes.
So if it's not in front of
Just
people,
those couple blocks different.
yeah, it's so hard to market even just a few blocks away. Where if it's something on, when Val Demings spoke on the Happening Out TV stage during Pride, the crowd loved it. If she had done it at the Pride Center, I don't even know if anybody would have known about it.
Right.
So it's important news.
All right, well, we move on and we queer up trans rights. Florida is asking girls to report their menstrual history if they want to participate in sports. A form that asks female student athletes in Florida to report on their menstrual cycles is being blasted by LGBTQ+ and pro-choice activists. The medical form has reportedly been used for about 20 years and asks athletes about conditions like allergies and seizures to determine fitness to participate in sports. It also asks female athletes to fill out optional questions on the date of their last period, how often they get their period, and the date of their first one. As per the report in the Palm Beach Post, this year, multiple school districts in the state transferred the form online and use a third-party service, which has caused concern among both parents and doctors, as the forms are both accessible to coaches and vulnerable to subpoena. Medical privacy laws like HIPAA only apply to information being stored by healthcare providers. Because this student data will be stored by a third-party company called Activate, it makes it vulnerable, even though its contract ensures confidentiality. As women and trans people are increasingly targeted by state laws, such as in Florida, where abortion is outlawed after 15 weeks and trans girls are banned from women's sports, many parents and doctors are skeptical of asking students to store sensitive information like this online. I swear to God, I thought this was a story out of The Onion, and that's just too many things out of Tallahassee sound like they're coming out of The Onion. Or this could be a plot line on The Handmaid's Tale. I mean, my God, what kind of perv is asking, when was your first one? I mean, seriously, I feel like there was a man in a dark room with a questionably active zipper, back there putting this together. I mean, this is disgraceful and horrible, and it's optional. Parents opt out. Women opt out. Schools opt out.
So you just described DeSantis and his minions. They're not going to be happy until Florida is Gilead, like in The Handmaid's Tale.
When you've got groomers like Matt Gaetz, in Florida office, what are you going to do? And an important thing to note is that this information would normally be held by the school, healthcare, the nurses, so it would be covered under HIPAA. Now it's not going to be covered by that anymore because it's moving out of the hands of healthcare providers. And this can be used to both against schools that are allowing trans girls to compete kind of on the download. They may be in team practice, but not competing outside the district because some districts are allowing it. But it's going to be used to target them. But also then you may get girls trans boys who are assigned female at birth who may have this stuff on file when suddenly it's become public record and they might be outed as trans, which could be harmful to them as well. And honestly, nobody needs to know when a woman's cycle is, whether they're cisgender, transgender, it does not matter. It's no one's business except for them and their healthcare provider.
Yeah, I just don't see the importance to know that. And I do believe that it is targeted for our trans community where they do not want them to compete. And so this is just a backdoor way to start something that can turn into something just totally out of control, thanks to, former President Trump. I think he made people think like, we're just going to do whatever now.
When I read the story, I had a flashback to years ago. Some of you may be too young to remember this, but there was all that talk in certain states about if women wanted to have an abortion, they had to go through the transvaginal ultrasounds. And it's like, I read this and it's like, this is the next step. This is a little personal because I sort of understand, a little bit about this. I obviously haven't had a transvaginal ultrasound, but I've had to go through other procedures where it's like, okay, I kind of understand what these women are going through. And I mean, this is just beyond an invasion of privacy. And you're absolutely right. Opt out.
I just hope that the meme of DeSantis in the white go-go boots might take a little wind out of his sails. Have you seen that meme?
Oh, yes.
Quite pretty.
Comparing him to the blue M&M.
Yeah, that's right.
The green M&M.
Well, let's queer up the world view. Slovenia has legalized LGBTQ marriage and adoptions. Slovenia has officially legalized marriage equality and adoption, making it the first country in Eastern Europe to do so. The historic moment has come about after a 6-3 Constitutional Court decision in July said that same-sex marriage and adoptions are constitutional rights. The court ordered Parliament to add an amendment within 6 months. On October 4th, Parliament passed the amendment legalizing both marriage and adoption. 48 members voted in favor of the amendment and 29 against it. One member abstained. The state secretary, Simon Machovac, said, quote, "With these changes, we are recognizing the rights of same-sex couples that they should have had for a long time." In Poland, for example, homosexuality is legal, but LGBTQ people face intense discrimination. It is often ranked the most homophobic country in the EU. The nation is known for its notorious LGBTQ-free zones, areas of the country that say they are free from LGBTQ ideology. Slovenians are now allowed domestic partnerships starting in 2006, and the Constitutional Court ruled in 2009 that they violated Slovenia's constitutional ban on discrimination. The National Assembly tried to pass a bill legalizing marriage equality, but opponents of the bill petitioned for a national referendum on marriage. In 2015, a referendum on marriage equality took place, and 63.5% of Slovenians voted against it.
And go ahead.
So I was going to say that what I am noticing, it's like a lot of eye-opening experiences. And I believe that now we're just elevating to live how we were intended to. And we're going through some bumps, but I think the core of this is let's treat one another the same. We have more people speaking out for their rights. We're getting a lot more visibility. So I think that this is an important movement, even through some of the turmoil that we're, to me, temporarily having to experience.
Well, and it's important to note that, 7 years ago, more than half of the people of Slovenia voted against marriage equality. And the courts have decided that, whether or not that's the current, perception of it, it is discrimination and it should be illegal. This is the best thing to come out of Slovenia since Melania Trump.
I was going to say,
Better than that.
they're way better. And I'm hoping that this will also have a positive influence maybe on Poland and some of the other surrounding countries. I mean, is there hope for Hungary?
There is not. There's not, except for Russia actually is our biggest hope. If, they keep menacing their neighbors and their former client states from the Cold War era, then they're going to push Hungary to acquiesce to anything that the EU says you need to do for membership.
Well, it's funny to that point because, Ukraine generally is very conservative. They have not traditionally been gay friendly. With Russia invading them, so many openly gay people are enlisting to help fight that it's completely changed public perception of the gay community. When we did a story a few months ago of a drag queen who was well known through the Ukraine, who's back on the front lines fighting. We did a story recently of a LGBT Marine from the US who went over there. So Russia is kind of, the people are realizing that that's the wrong side of history. And
didn't both of them see our story online and replied to us? So our story gets out there, and I thought that was really that meant a lot because we don't have a live studio audience except for Luna some days, but to know that our message is getting out and that we're spreading their message and their good deeds was really heartwarming for me.
Okay, now we clear up the USA view. A real threat to marriage equality looms over Alaska. In 2015, the Supreme Court released its Obergefell v. Hodges decision guaranteeing marriage equality in the USA. But this might soon change. Army National Guard officer Andrew Gray has written an article in The Advocate talking about the threat to marriage equality that looms over Alaska. Andrew has decided to run for the Alaska State House. He will become the first openly gay man to serve in the Alaska legislature if elected. In the article, he mentions, quote, "Although my husband and I had signed domestic partnership papers before I was commissioned, the military would only honor a federally recognized marriage as a qualification for spousal benefits. So in 2015, when the Supreme Court released its Obergefell v. Hodges decision guaranteeing marriage equality, we married. This meant that while I was deployed with the Army to Kosovo in 2019, my husband and son, whom we had just adopted from the foster system, received all the family benefits they were entitled to," end quote. However, with the fall of Obergefell v. Hodges, same-sex marriage would instantly be undone, leaving people with many questions about their marriage, property, asset possession, parenthood, insurance, etc. Alaska is one of 4 U.S. states with 0 LGBTQ+ state lawmakers, despite the vibrant LGBTQ+ community. We can't underestimate the threat that is happening right now, because Clarence Thomas has already said he wants to go after Obergefell, which was gay marriage. He wants to go after
Lawrence v. Texas.
Well, Lawrence v. Texas too, but I can't remember the name of the one specifically with contraception.
Yeah, that's
Griswold, Connecticut.
Griswold, thank you. It's a movie reference I should have known. You know, they're coming after us. Yeah. They are coming after us.
Well, he cites the Obergefell decision, but that wouldn't have actually applied to his case because he was a federal employee. So when Windsor came in, that struck down Defense of Marriage Act, which means that the federal government has to recognize marriage whether your state does or not, as long as you got legally married in a state that recognizes it. So that would have been his thing. So there's a lot of court cases that would have to go. They would have to go over. So he's kind of getting out over his skis because I mean, Clarence Thomas mentioned it, but what gets to the heart of this is that in the lame duck, there's going to be a vote to legalize or to always make sure federal marriages are recognized at the federal level. It would basically codify what Windsor did, so the Supreme Court couldn't knock it down.
Well, and the Respect for Marriage Act, though, requires states to recognize marriages that are formed in other states, but I'm not actually 100% sure if that makes it legal on a federal level, because they're giving the autonomy to the states. They're not putting a federal mandate.
But the federal government would still recognize it. So like the Army person could get benefits even if he's living in Alaska where suddenly marriage doesn't exist anymore.
But prior to Obergefell versus Hodges, there were states where marriage was legal, like Massachusetts. And federally, it wasn't recognized for tax reasons and things like that.
It was after 2013. That was the Windsor. So there was like a 2-year gap in there. But Windsor would be the controlling case in this particular candidate's.
But I do possibly see issues with the Supreme Court reassessing some of these decisions, though, should Obergefell versus Hodges fall, even with the Respect for Marriage Act. It's a whole mess. It needs to be codified into the Constitution, and that's pretty much what needs to happen to protect rights. The Equality Act needs to pass. So.
For sure. And now we're going to clear up politics. Donald Trump told Mike Pence, "Gay people love me," according to a book. Former President Donald Trump told Mike Pence that gay people love him, according to a new book by the New York Times' Maggie Haberman. In Haberman's book, Confidence Man, The Making of Donald Trump and the Breaking of America, she detailed Trump's behavior and actions throughout his presidency. In one particular extract, on page 299, she detailed the conversation Trump had with conservative donor and philanthropist Paul Singer. The book says that during the meeting, which took place as Trump, Pence, and his aides prepared the president for a press conference, Trump made idle chat with Singer. When asked by Trump, quote, "How conservative are you?" end quote, Singer allegedly replied that he was quite conservative on economic issues, but more moderate on other issues, such as gay rights. Trump allegedly followed up by asking if Singer was gay, to which he replied he wasn't, but his son was. The excerpt from the book reads, quote, "Pence began to leave. Trump gestured toward the vice president and said, 'You're not like those guys, that kind of conservative,' end quote. He added, quote, 'The gays, they love me,' end quote, noting that the line in his convention speech that received the most applause was a vow to protect LGBTQ+ citizens from violence and oppression of a hateful foreign ideology. First of all, that should read, "Marry Pence." And then also, what about protecting LGBTQ+ citizens from violence and oppression of hateful Christian nationalist ideology right here in the US? What about that?
Well, I'm still trying to wonder who loves Trump. I believe.
I actually know a lot of gays who love Trump. The thing about Trump is Trump wasn't about policy. He wasn't about things that would actually help the LGBTQ community. He was about pandering and marketing. That's what he's great at, is marketing. It's what he's always been great at. He's not good at much else. He's not good at business. He's not good at governing. But he knows how to market, and there are people who fell for the marketing without paying attention to his overturning of the ability of trans members of the military to serve, of his removal of LGBTQ references from the White House website, of the various policies he passed that hurt our community because of his marketing was good, and he's charismatic.
Maggie, I'm not buying your stupid book. And then I went looking for this when I read this story. A reading from the Gospel according to Cher. The chapter is The Witches of Eastwick, written by Michael Christopher. I'm going to try to do my best Dixie Carter, but bear with me. You are the most unattractive man I have ever met in my entire life. You know, in the short time we've been together, you have demonstrated every loathsome characteristic of the male personality and even discovered a few new ones. You are physically repulsive, intellectually retarded. You're morally reprehensible, vulgar, insensitive, selfish, stupid. You have no taste, a lousy sense of humor, and you smell. You're not even interesting enough to make me sick. And again, the Gospel according to Cher. Can I get an amen?
Amen.
And
I think there's another line from Cher that would sum up what you need to do whenever you meet those gay Republicans that love him so much. Just smack him across the face and go, snap out of it!
Snap out of it. Next, we're queering up business with something a little more fun. Heinz introduces tomato veggie blood for the queer vampire in all of us. Heinz is celebrating Halloween with the return of its limited edition tomato blood ketchup bottle. The seasonal offering sees the classic bottle redesigned to read tomato blood in big font, while the words tomato ketchup is stated underneath. The bottle's traditional tomato image is also replaced with the imagery of blood, while 57 varieties phrase is replaced with 57 blood types.
So good. My name is Toby, and I'm a vegetarian vampire. I drink Heinz tomato blood instead of human blood, which is something I encourage all vampires to consider. There's a lot of misconceptions around being a veggie vamp. Ugh, gross. I do have to drink like hundreds of bottles of tomato blood a week. Who ate my tomato blood? And you put it on potatoes? Those things grow in dirt. I know what you're thinking. Toby, you're a vampire. Draining humans of their eternal life force is what you're supposed to do. Well, a few hundred years ago, I was about to feast on this human, then we started talking. Humans have made some really interesting things. Blackout curtains, sunscreen, tomato blood. To my fellow vampires, I say, when you think of humans more as friends, it's amazing what they can show you. I took him flying, which is actually just how I get around. So the next time you want to eat someone, I hope you'll reconsider and go vegetarian. I hope you'll... Seriously? On eggs? I hope you'll switch to Heinz tomato blood, because humans are people too.
Heinz's tomato blood is returning to shelves nationwide, looking to turn vampires into tomato blood eaters with the help of vegetarian vampire Toby. Toby, a 280-year-old vegetarian vampire, also promoted the bottle in the PSA we just showed. Toby shared a statement saying, quote, "Being a vegetarian vampire and only eating Heinz tomato blood comes with a lot of misconceptions. I hope by issuing a PSA, vampires nationwide will consider that humans can be more than just food and give friendship a chance while enjoying a tasty alternative," end quote. The limited edition Heinz tomato blood ketchup bottle features the iconic ketchup people know and love in a design that even vampires can appreciate. Fans can watch the vegetarian vampire film that we just saw featuring Toby on Heinz's YouTube channel, and it also appeared during the AMC premiere of Interview with the Vampire. You know, this reminds me of a great cartoon I used to love so much when I was a kid. It was called Count Duckula, and he drank tomato juice, and it was the cheesiest, stupidest cartoon ever, and I loved it. And I love that Toby is super femme and flamboyant, even after 280 years.
You know, and at 280 years, he's only slightly younger than Al, who's off today.
Well, I'm not buying 280 years because that kid or whatever, well, I'll spare you the second dead husband joke, but no, well, but he doesn't look like he passed the age of 17, for crying out loud.
Well, I mean, look at Elvira. She's another vegetarian vampire, and she is ageless. She's in the new Rob Zombie remake of The Munsters, and she's like 800 years old, looks phenomenal.
Do you watch What We Do in the Shadows? Because I feel like this is that's what they were spoofing. You know, this was totally, I was just like waiting for Nadja and Laszlo to come out and start having like passionate sex and arguing at the same time behind him.
I love the cheesiness of turning everything Halloween because it's so cheesy and it's so campy, and like I'm excited that the Halloween buckets are back at McDonald's, like stupid stuff like that. Memories of my childhood. I'm gonna have to go get a Happy Meal just so I can get like the Halloween bucket.
Did you see they're launching an adult Happy Meal?
It's already sold out everywhere.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Well, next, we are proud of our special partnership with Sunshine Cathedral, the world's largest queer church here in Fort Lauderdale. Supporting that partnership, we are broadcasting from our permanent set here at Sunshine Cathedral at the Happening Out Television Studios. We broadcast Sunshine Cathedral's Sunday International Service at 10:30 a.m. with more than 30,000 watching every week.
Hi, I'm Mark Martirana, and Sunshine Cathedral is my queer church.
Love you, Mark, and don't forget to vote for his husband, Don, who's running for Wilton Mayor's City Commission. We finish tonight's queer news headlines with a segment we call LGBTQ Plus 1 Minute News.
LGBTQ Plus 1 Minute News. Let's queer up the worldview. From LGBTQ Plus news partner The Advocate and writer Trudy Ring. Rufus Gifford. This gay man is the face of America to world leaders. To foreign leaders conducting official business with the U.S., Rufus Gifford is the face of America. He is the chief of protocol at the State Department, one of the highest ranking positions in the department, led, of course, by Secretary of State Anthony Blinken. It makes Gifford, who is gay, the top-ranked out official at State, and it's an ambassador-level position. You can read more at advocate.com.
LGBTQ plus 1 Minute News. Let's queer up drag culture. From LGBTQ plus news partner, out and writer Bernardo Sim. Meet the queens of Drag Race Italia Season 2. Drag Race Italia Season 2 is ready to visit you. This season, similar to the first one, will be hosted and judged by Priscilla alongside regular judges Shira Francini and Tommaso Zorzi. Season 2 will have 10 contestants with some very interesting yet fun names, so I'll try to pronounce them correctly. Named Aura Eternal, L.A. Diamond, Geoffrey, Narciso, Nihilinia, Obama, Panthera Virus, La Petite, Nore, Scandalove, and Tanisha Yonsei. Read more at out.com.
LGBTQ Plus 1 Minute News. Let's queer up trans rights. From LGBTQ Plus news partner, LGBTQ Nation, and writer Molly Spray-Arrigan. Caitlyn Jenner says the radical left has hijacked and politicized trans people by supporting them. In an appearance on Fox and Friends, Caitlyn Jenner claimed that in supporting trans people, the radical left has, quote, hijacked and politicized yet another minority group, end quote. Jenner was speaking specifically to a Vermont high school that refused to ban a trans student from using the girls' locker room with her volleyball team. Read more at lgbtqplusnation.com.
LGBTQ plus 1 Minute News, Let's Queer Up Travel, from LGBTQ plus news partner Out Traveler and writer Emmy Abbasi. Spend a night at the Hocus Pocus Cottage.
We got video.
I banish thee from Salem forever.
They were right to fear thee. Magic has a way of uniting. Happy 16th birthday, child.
I have a gift for my favorite customers. Legend has it, it's on the 16th birthday that a witch gets her powers.
Lock up your children! Yes, Salem, we're back!
Gilbert, where did you get that candle? We have to get out of here. The witches will be here any second. Ah! The book is alive.
He woke up?
If we intend to live past sunrise, we have to steal their souls.
Whoa, wait, can we talk about this?
No. We must fly! We're gonna
Not to freak out. The vengeful maniac obsessed with getting revenge on Salem sounds very bad for Salem.
We should get some salt. Why? So we taste better when they eat us? Spread out.
That's not 6 feet under.
Stop! I am a good zombie!
The Sanderson sisters of Hocus Pocus fame are inviting guests to stay at their creepy cottage in the remote woods of Salem, Massachusetts this Halloween season. The witchy trio's home has been recreated to celebrate Hocus Pocus 2, which began streaming on Disney Plus on September 30th. Read more at outtraveler.com.
LGBTQ plus 1 Minute News. Let's queer up the worldview. From LGBTQ plus news partner Vice and writer Chris Trin. Be whatever you want to be. Photos from Hanoi Pride 2022. Conical hats painted with rainbows and trans flags, whack dancing, and a march around the iconic Hoan Kiem Lake swept over Hanoi, Vietnam during the unground Pride celebration held last month. It was the first since 2019, and the theme was Knock Knock, It's Love. Vice covered this Pride parade through some amazing photos that will put a smile on your face. Read more at vice.com.
LGBTQ plus 1 Minute News, let's queer up lesbian culture. From LGBTQ plus news partner Pop Sugar and writer Natalia Trejo. Meet the lesbian Latina power couple behind apparel and lifestyle brand JZD. It's not every day you wake up to a, hey mom, I made it moment. And it certainly doesn't occur overnight. But when that happens, there are no words that can express the feeling. The founders and lesbian Latina power couple of Genziano Designs, aka JZD, experienced the feeling at their historic debut at Target, which officially launched at the beginning of Latinx Heritage Month. You can read more at popsugar.com.
That is today's news for the LGBTQ plus community on the world's first and only daily LGBTQ plus evening news show.
If our community is important to you, share this news with your friends and family. Are you, like most of America, part of our very large television audience, watching this live LGBTQ plus news broadcast right now on Roku, Apple TV, Android TV, and Amazon Fire TV?
Queer News Tonight is the only live LGBTQ plus digital television show in the world that is out of the closet and into the headlines. We need your support. If our community is to grow, we must tell our stories and bring them to the attention of the broader world.
This is the only place in the world that tells these types of LGBTQ+ stories in motion and sound. That is the passion of Hotspots Magazine, Happening Out Television Network, and Queer News Tonight.
I'm your anchor, David Hopkins, and on behalf of these LGBTQ+ reporters, the anchors of Queer News Tonight, including Nik Nak London, John Hayden, Bob Hentschel, and Gregg Shapiro, we will see you daily at 8 p.m. To our LGBTQ+ world, we wish you good night.
Good night, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
LGBTQ+ news is vital for our community and for the broader world as a whole. We have enough enemies at Fox News. Tucker, Sean, and Laura are loud. We need passionate allies. Happening Out Television Network, Queer News Tonight, and It's Happening Out are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. Our community needs your support. Like this broadcast and subscribe now to ensure the growth of the entire LGBT